Hello, welcome everyone. We're happy to bring you another recap video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A beautiful mansion was shown, and through the darkness of the azure sky and tender trees, we could see the arabesques of lighted windows, which could touch up the flamboyant event taking place inside the brick walls. While the symphony of passionate piano and charming violin danced through the air, creating a magical scene. While inside those walls were people dancing and couples twirling, enjoying their moments. It seemed like a ball, so definite and precise. Everyone seemed to be dwelling into the rhythm of the music, while a group of young women were enjoying their night. Suddenly, a man called one of them out, making the woman in a pink maxi and blonde hair turn around with a soft smile. Her name was Gu Qingsheng. She was the only daughter of a businessman Gu whom he adored a lot. She went near her father and asked him why he had called her, to which he responded that he wanted her to meet someone special and important. She nodded obediently and proceeded to walk along her father through the many guests. She was holding his arm. Soon they had come right in front of a man with dark hair who was sitting casually on a chair. Her father introduced him to her. His name was Tang Shai. Qingsheng recognized him in an instant while he took his time from rising off the chair. Tang Shi was a young man and the board chairman of the Shengtang Enterprise. Tang greeted Mr. Gu, who was telling him that it had taken him a long while trying to find him in this busy party. Qingsheng was silent as Tang took a brief glance at her, thinking how beautiful she had gotten over the span of 3 years. That was the last time he had seen her. It was silent for a moment until Mr. Gu reminded Tang that he was looking for a secretarial assistant. He suggested his daughter, Qingsheng, for the duty, telling him that she had just returned from the United Kingdom. Her father wanted him to hire her so she could help him, and in return, she might be able to learn something and gain some experience. Qingsheng was staring at the floor as Tang Shi nodded, telling her that they had not seen each other in a while, and asked her name, making Mr. Gu's brows dip as Qingsheng's eyes doubled in size while she was disappointed at how he had known her for 20 years and still does not remember her name. She sighed, slowly looking up to him, and introduced herself formally, addressing him as Mr. Tang, making him mentally scoff at the name. It was too official to him. Mr. Gu then decided to take his leave, requesting Tang Shi to take care of Qingsheng as Tang nodded, giving him reassurance. He then made way towards the door, telling them to enjoy while also telling Tang Shai that Qingsheng would drop him home since Tang was drinking. It was for his safety. Both Qingsheng and Tang Shi stood there for a while in pure awkwardness and silence until Tang had to go home, so they were now under the sky walking towards his car. As Qingsheng was rushing to his front to open the door so she could drop him home, his phone rang. Tang Shi picked it up, and on the other side, a man was asking him about his location. Tang Shi told him that he was located 500 meters east of the club. He had a straight face, while Qingsheng sighed out in relief, thinking about how she would not have to drop him since he was getting picked up. She moved away from the car and proceeded to bid him farewell, telling him that she got a great time with him. She said goodnight to him. As she was about to turn around, he grabbed her wrist, making her hiss, her eyes widening in shock as he laid her against the cold metal of the car's front before gently kissing her. Qingsheng was in a state of shock. He then pulled away from her, proceeding to whisper in her ear that if she wanted him to give him a job at his company, then she would have to listen to him. He told her that if he was willing to spend an entire day with him every month, then he would hire her. But he had not put in the real information. The catch was that she needed to not only spend time with him. He added that on the 10th of every month she would not only have to keep him company for a short time, but this time she would have to spend the night with him. Her eyes widened at his words. How could he possibly think of that? But she remained calm and repeated his question, to which he nodded, standing straight again, as he fixed his tie, telling her to give it a good thought, then take a decision. While poor Qingsheng kept staring at him with wide doe eyes, she did not know how to react until the silence between them was interrupted by another male voice who had greeted Tang Shi. The man was blonde and looked awkward. He must have seen what happened a while ago. His name was Manhwa, who was one of Tang Shi's best friends. He had come to pick him up. Tang Shi slowly yet quietly got into the back seat of the car, sternly shutting the door behind him as Manhwa greeted Qingsheng casually, as if he knew her. He then saw the look on Tang Shi's face from the rearview mirror as his breath hitched. He mentally cursed at himself for not greeting her formally, since he realized that it must have made Tang Shai angry. So Manhwa then waved Qingsheng goodbye in a formal manner. The car sped off onto the road as she kept watching it until it disappeared from her sight. Gu Qingsheng was left alone with her thoughts and memories about what had happened 3 years ago. She remembered waking up in a bed 3 years ago, completely indecent. As she woke up, she saw Tang Shi walking towards the bathroom. She tried to call after him to talk about what happened last night, but he ignored her before stepping into the shower. Pathetic. He had started showering. The bathroom glass mirror was covered in fog as now he asked her about what she meant about last night. She did not say anything. How was she supposed to ask him about what happened between them? He then got dressed but kept a cold eye on her while she gazed back at him completely clueless. Tang Shi walked closer to her, grabbing her chin as he told her since it was her first time so did not feel okay, but he in fact did feel good about it. He chuckled and continued to tell her that he liked her but only when she spent time with him, making her eyes double in size as disappointment flashed across her face while he walked towards the door. She kept calling him sitting on the bed, waiting for it to be a joke, but it was not. He smirked and left the room while Qingqing was thinking that he might have made a proposal to her, but ever since that night, Tang Shi had entirely changed. It had been 3 years since that incident, but she had not contacted him ever since. He did not deserve that. She left for the United Kingdom after that and came back just now, and fate was not kind. She met him again while his attitude was worth ruining him for. He really asked her to spend the night with him after what he had done to her 3 years ago. She could not believe it. Tang Shi had arrived home and now he was sitting in his room, quietly smoking a cigarette as he was facing a full-size window. He seemed distressed and messed up as he sighed thinking about her. He thought of her beautiful face, her being just like her name, rosy cheeks and lips. Her name Qingqing meant that the whole world would wage wars for her. The cigarette ashes were touching the carpet. Suddenly, a loud bang was heard from his room and 3 men gathered in front of it as they were worried about Tang Shi. One of them was Su Nianhua, as Lin Jingchen, who was also Tang's best friend, asked him about his behavior since he was the one who drove him. Nianhua told him that they had met Qingqing, other than that he was also unaware about his thoughts at the moment. While Lu Ran sighed, rubbing his glabella, he was also a part of the group. She was displeased at Tang Shi for hurting her like that 3 years ago as he reminded them that they were neighbors and good friends until Tang Shi had to ruin it. He was surprised at how he was the one getting angry at Qingqing as if she had done something. She was innocent. All 3 of them sighed in disappointment before retreating back to their rooms. On the other hand, Tang Shi decided to take a relaxing bath. After he was done, he heard his phone ring. He stopped drying his hair and checked the caller eyed. It was Gu Qingqing. His eyes lingered on the words for a moment until he picked it up before he could say something. Qingqing had already said that she had accepted his offer. He was confused until she clarified that she would do anything he wanted her to. She had to do this because the children in her family were mostly males, leaving her the only female. She was the only one in their generation, which is why her future was already planned. Once she was born, it was already planned for her to marry into the Tang family. Her mother used to tell her to please them from a young age. She used to tell her to like all the things Tang Shi had liked so they could be compatible. Qingqing was just a little girl when she would be told things like to always look after Tang Shi. She had to do everything in her will to please him and keep him happy since his family had a business empire, hence they wanted their support in their family. Her father used to tell her that she must be married to Tang Shi someday. That was her destiny and goal since birth. Everything in her life was about Tang Shi. Everything he liked is what she had to like. She would wear blue dresses because that was his favorite color. He liked long-haired girls, hence she would also have to keep her hair long. It was all about him and she had accepted her fate. Qingqing was one of the Gu's, hence she had no choice but to perform her obligations to her family by being his woman and obeying him. The future of her family depended on her, which is why Qingqing had no choice but to accept his offer, even though he had hurt her badly in the past. She then asked Tang Shi about her work procedures and when she should start working, while he told her about how stubborn and thick-skinned she was. She thought that this was her goal from the start, so she could not walk back. Marrying Tang Shi and being their hostess was important for her to secure the future of her family. No one can stop her, not even Tang Shi himself if he wanted to. She was determined to do this by sacrificing herself. Her fingers clenched onto the sides of her dress. Tang Shi now finally spoke in a cold manner, telling her that she should be with him tomorrow at 10 p.m. She already knew the place, their usual place. He then reminded her that if she is able to do what he says and please her, then she would enter the company a day after tomorrow. She hummed over the phone, agreeing with him while keeping the conversation casual. She called him Mr. Tang while he stared into space. Things were not supposed to be like this. The next day, Tang Shi kept looking at her phone number as he dialed another number, talking to an old man whom he told that he was coming tonight. The old man nodded, humming a little in response. Before ending the call, Tang Shi told him that Qingqing will be there too. These words made the old man freeze on the spot as the call ended. The old man was used to working in a hotel. As he was cleaning the vase, he realized that she was now back. He was happy to know that his master Tang Shi would not have to spend the day alone here every 10th of the month. While Qingqing, on the other hand, was at her house getting ready to meet Tang Shi. She was looking at a diary on her table. She opened it slowly, and it read that Tang Shi did not like sweets and only liked the smell of Chanel perfumes. The diary contained everything related to Tang Shi. It included his likes and dislikes. They were detailed notes of his preferences and taboos, a guideline towards him. She skipped through the pages and wondered whether he had changed anything in the past 3 years since they had not been in touch and did not know his current lifestyle. She was curious whether his habits had changed. In order to know about his current lifestyle, she decided to call Tang Shi's sister, since she was the only one who would help him in this regard. She was trustworthy and one of King Sheng's closest friends. She also knew her brother better than anyone. She then called his sister and asked her if she could do her a favor. It was important. Tang Shi's sister's name was April. She was one of Tang Shi's best friends too. April agreed to King Sheng, asking her what she needed and she'll see if she could help her in any way. King Sheng asked her about the current dislikes of her brother and issues, but April was displeased and asked her if she had any self-respect considering she was still trying to be with him despite him dumping her. April questioned King Sheng about caring about Tang Shi's feelings. While King Sheng could not help but think about what she said, she realized that she was nothing but someone Tang Shi had abandoned in front of the world. That was her identity now. King Sheng became teary now as she proceeded to tell April that she had returned from the United Kingdom, which is why she could not avoid him no matter what, and due to that, she needed to know about his current lifestyle so she does not end up offending him in any way. She had no other choice. April sighed softly, beginning to think about everything her brother has changed amidst. For the past 3 years, she slowly told her that nothing had changed in him except that he did not like people sitting in his passenger seat, which annoyed him for some reason. She also added that most of the girls he had spent time with were dumped for this reason. They sat in the passenger seat. King Sheng was listening to April attentively as she also told her that all of the previous girls he had been were just hookups because he needed to face them due to condition. He did not like that at all. Well, that's all for now. Remember to like and subscribe and comment for part 2.